students of 11th class. As you know, we are reading lesson number 3 of the text Hornbill, that is Discovering Tooth. The Saga Continues, written by A.R. Williams. As you know, in the previous lesson we discussed its conclusion, central idea and summary of this lesson titled Discovering Tooth. Now today we will go through the text and we will start from the first para. Now let us start. He was just a teenager when he died, the last heir of a powerful family that had ruled Egypt and its empire for centuries. He was laid to rest, laden with gold, and eventually forgotten since the discovery of his tomb in 1922. The modern world has speculated. The modern world has speculated about what happened to him, with murder being the most extreme possibility. Now, leaving his tomb for the first time in almost 80 years, Tut has undergone a CT scan that offers new clues about his life and death and provides precise data for an accurate forensic reconstruction of the boyish pharaoh. Here are some words. Words are here means inheritor, successor. Here means HER, here means inheritor, successor. Another word is laden. Laden means loaded, loaded. Another word is speculated. Speculated means form a theory without evidence. Speculated, form a theory without evidence. Another word is tomb. Tomb. Tomb means an enclosure to bury the dead. Tomb means an enclosure to bury the dead. Forensic reconstruction means the process of recreating the face of an individual. Forensic reconstruction means the process of recreating the face of an individual. Pharaoh. Pharaoh means a ruler in Egypt. Pharaoh means it's a ruler in ancient Egypt. Now let me explain this para. Dear students, as you know, this Discovering Tut, the saga continues. It tells us that Tutankhamun, जिसको हम टुट भी कहते हैं, also known as the Tut, was a brave ruler of the great Pharaoh dynasty. ये जो टुटनखामुन जो था, known as Tut, ये एक brave ruler था. किस डायनास्टी का? Pharaoh डायनास्टी का. He died a mysterious death. उसकी जो डेथ हुई वो death was mysterious and is resting in peace in his tomb now. अब वो अपनी कब्र में बिल्कुल वो मौत इसकी लाश है. So let me explain the first pharaoh. Now Tutankhamun, that is Tut, also known as Tut, was a teenager when he died, right? जब वो मर गया उसकी उम्र जो थी that was between 11 and 19. बिल्कुल उम्र उसकी कम थी. He was the last successor of the powerful Pharaoh dynasty which ruled Egypt and its empire for centuries. एक डायनास्टी का एक लास्ट सक्सेसर था जिस डायनास्टी का नाम है फेरो डायनास्टी, और जिसने रूल किया इजिप्ट को सेंचुरीज, सदियाँ इसने इजिप्ट को रूल किया. उसी का लास्ट ये जो सक्सेसर था दैट वाज टुटनखामुन, जिसको हम टुट भी कहते हैं. Tutankhamun's Jos akh teenager yel smooth or jos last emuक wërisdar yath dynasty now چھُ Pharaoh dynasty یُس زن یِم زن روٗل کوٚر Egyptس منٛز واریاہن centuries. He was laid on rest with heavily loaded with gold. His tomb was discovered in 1922, which made the world raise a question about what had happened to him and whether he had been murdered. Or actually, uh, his tomb was discovered in 1922. उसकी जो उसका जो टॉम उसकी जो कब्र है उसको डिस्कवर किया गया 1922 में, जिसने वर्ल्ड को हैरान कर दिया. और एक क्वेश्चन उसके सामने है कि इसको क्या हुआ, कैसे इसको शायद whether he had been murdered. After almost 8 years, his body was about to undergo a CT scan, which would give new information and clues about his life and death. Right? His face would be recreated with the help of a procedure. With the help of a procedure called porcinic reconstruction. उसका जो face है, that will be recreated with a process of porcinic reconstruction or created. That is a procedure called porcinic construction. तो उसका face जो है that will be recreated. This was the first para. Now the second para is and angry with wind stirred up ghostly dust devils as King Tut was taken from his resting place in the ancient Egypt ceremony known as the Valley of the Kings. Dark, bellied clouds and scudded across the desert sky all day and now were wheeling the stars in cascade grey. It was 6 p.m. on 5 January 2005. The world's most mummy glided head first into a CT scanner brought her to probe the lingering medical mysteries of this little understood young ruler who died more than 3,300 years ago. Here are some now words in this para. First word is stirred. 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 Stirred means move or cause to move slightly. Move or cause to move slightly. Now there is another word that is ghostly. Ghost means eerie and unnatural, unreal. Ghostly means eerie and unnatural, or we can say unreal. Another word is resting place. Resting place means here the grave. कब्र जिसे हम कहते हैं. Symmetry, CEMETER. Symmetry means a large burial ground. Symmetry means a large burial ground. Dark bleed means dark in color. Another word is that is scudded across means moving quickly. It refers to the movement of the dark bleed clouds. Wheeling means to cover something. Casket means a small ornamental box or chest for holding jewels, letters or other valued objects. That is casket. A small ornamental box or chest for holding jewels, letters or other valued objects. Another word is that is casket gray. Casket gray means it means the gray clouds were like a gray cloud colored casket. Casket gray means it means the gray clouds were like a gray colored casket which contained the stars. The stars are like jewels which are kept in a casket. Glided means quite continuous motion. Probe means to investigate, find out. Lingering means long fasting. Now let me explain this para. Here writer explains, he says that as past a false, strange and unnatural wind was blowing as King Tut's body was taken from his grave, called Valleys of the Kings. A past, strange and unnatural wind was blowing as the King Tut's body was taken from his grave, called Valleys of the Kings, an ancient Egyptian cemetery The location of the Valley of the Kings is given in the image. And right says dark clouds moved quickly. Dark clouds moved quickly across the desert all day long, and later they covered the stars. It says that on January 5, 2005 at 6 p.m., King Tut's mummy, which is the world's most famous mummy, was placed in the CT scanner to investigate the mystery behind his death, which had occurred more than 3,300 years ago. Now there is para third. All afternoon, all afternoon, the usual line of tourists from around the world had descended into the cramped rock cut tomb some 26 feet underground to pay their respects. They gazed at the murals on the walls of the burial chamber and peered at its gilded face, the most striking feature of his mummy-shaped outer coffin lid. Some visitors read from the guided books in a whisper. Others stood silently, perhaps pondering Tutus' untimely death in his late teens, or wondering with a shiver if the pharaoh's curse, death, or misfortune falling upon those who disturbed him was really true. यहाँ पे कुछ वर्ड्स हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल डिसेंडेड है, दैट मीन्स मूव्ड और गैदर्ड. cramped means very small to fit into, or rock cut means made in a rock by cutting it. Gazed means to look in surprise or in admiration. Murals means a painting or other artwork executed directly on the wall. Gilded means covered with a thin sheet or coating of gold. Striking means prominent. Whisper means to speak in a low voice. Pondering means think about something carefully. Students, let me explain this para. That says all afternoon. Tourists visited the 26 feet deep. All afternoon, tourists visited the 26 feet deep underground rock cut tomb to pay respect to the king. Many people stuffed into the small tomb and looked in the admiration at the murals on the walls of the chamber, and took a look at the face of the tooth that had been painted with gold. While visitors read the guidebooks in a house in a hushed tone, some stood silently wondering about his untimely death in his teen years. They might also be wondering if the curse of the Pharaoh leads to the descended which leads to the descent of misfortune upon the person who disturbs him is true. Thank you very much.